Good damn morning, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Make sure you get your green gear 25% off. Promo code Jericho1, all caps, and the number 1, Jericho, and the number 1. So, this is going to be a bit of a departure from our normal social political commentary. Although, politics and culture, well, politics is downstream from culture, so there will be some of those implications in here. But I'm doing a movie review on Coming to America. The word coming, the number 2 America. Get it? Play on words. Or numbers, I guess. So, I've done, I think, 2 movie reviews before this. I reviewed the latest Rambo movie, Last Blood, and then I reviewed the latest, I think the last one I did was the latest Terminator movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fucking stepdad. So this time I'll be reviewing this one. Now, if you're watching this movie review, you already know the iconic status of Coming to America. It was the 80s. Eddie Murphy was at his prime. Arsenio Hall. All the characters they played. This was pre-Clumps. This was the precursor to the Clumps and playing all these different characters and the makeup and everything. John Landis directed it. John Landis did the Thriller video. He did American Werewolf in London. I mean, all the classic movies from the 80s. John Landis has his fingerprints on it somewhere. So you're talking about heavy hitters across the board from the director, producers on down. I used to deliver beer long ago when I was a young man. And I would start work sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning, still dark. And I would go to the opening of the warehouse. I'd walk in. This is a huge warehouse. I mean, like Costco on steroids. And I would yell, "Good morning, neighbors!" And every time, and I mean every single time, somebody would yell back, "Fuck you!" And I would say, "Yes, fuck you too." One of many classic scenes from that movie. Where Eric LaSalle, after the robbery, he says, "I would have helped, but I had drinks in my hands." You understand it? And that's one person who wasn't in this movie was Eric LaSalle. How do you not get that punk in this movie? He was one of the best characters. He was such a piece of shit. They didn't have Eric LaSalle in this one. But I'm talking, this movie is woven into the entertainment fabric of America. And we made a time capsule to be opened 100 years from now. This movie would be in it. Now, granted, it was a largely black cast. I think maybe the only person who wasn't black was Louis Anderson. I'm talking about the original. Yet and still, it's not a black movie. It's not a black comedy. It's just a comedy. It's classic. It's iconic. We all know and love it, especially if you're a child of the 80s and the 90s. This movie, Coming to America, was none of that. This movie sucked. We waited 30 plus years, I think 33 years for this movie to come out. We're walking through life, whistling Dixie. Eddie Murphy comes and taps us on the shoulder and says, "Hey, American people." We say, "Hey, Eddie Murphy, what's up?" He says, "We want to do a sequel to Coming to America." And we, the American people, say, "You don't have to do that, man. The first one was classic. We got the memories. We can watch it whenever we want. You don't have to do that." Eddie says, "No, we're going to do that." And we say, "All right, Eddie, but don't fuck it up, all right?" So what he must have heard was, "Fuck it up, all right?" Because that's what they did. 33 years, and this is what you give us. Imagine if whether you work for yourself or somebody else, you got 30 years to come up to complete one project. You can have all the money you need. You can pick your own team, but you got 30 years to deliver one project. All right, here we go. And 30 years later, you bring something that's held together with duct tape and popsicle sticks. What is this? You had all this time. You didn't have to do it in the first place. That's number one. You didn't have to do it. But you took 30 years. And this is what you gave us. Coming to America. First of all, I got notes on this. Normally I don't do notes, but I did notes on this. James Earl Jones dies way too early. Way too, I think maybe 15 minutes he made it into the movie. He's gone. I thought that the right end, 5 minutes into this shit, you know it was going to be garbage. You know it. My brother happened to text me, and I text him back, man, I'm about 5 minutes into this Coming to America, and it looks garbage. And you know what he texted me back? It was not good. That's it. So I'm watching it. Right off the top, it's PG-13. You want to piss me off? Take a movie of iconic status that is rated R. They did this shit with RoboCop. That was damn near NC-17 because of violence. They did this shit with Predator. Same thing. The remake was PG-13. So, again, the iconic scenes. The royal penis is clean, your highness. The women are cleaning his genitals under the water. And then they come up, the titties out. You know, the language, everything was rated R. Nope, this bullshit is PG-13. Hey, I don't want to watch Coming to America with my kids. This is an adult movie for adults during adult time. Nope, PG-13. And they redid that scene, but instead of it being the prince, well, here, I'll get to that in a minute. Hold on, we'll get to that. So, PG-13. So you already fucked it up right there. And of course, they meet up with his son. This is what brings him back to America. He has a flashback of, all right, basically James Earl Jones on his deathbed drops the bomb that Hakeem has a son. Hakeem says, no way. The only woman I've ever laid with was Lisa, my queen. And Simi, Arsenio Hall's character, says, well, actually, and basically the flashback is Hakeem, you know that scene where they go to the club and they're looking for the women? Well, he gets drugged by one of them and gets raped. Let's call it what it is. He was drugged and this woman had sex with him without his consent. Leslie Jones's character. But when it happens to a guy, rape is funny. So he gets raped by this woman and she gets pregnant. He doesn't know. He goes back to Zamunda. So you have a son because James Earl Jones is saying, I'm dying. You got to pass it on to somebody. And Eddie Murphy had 3 daughters. We'll get to them too. So he says, you got a son. So that's why he goes back to America to get his son, to bring him back to Zamunda so he can take over the throne. And of course, when they find his son, raised by his mama, daddy wasn't around, surrounded by a bunch of women, and what does he do for a living? He is a hustler, scalping tickets. Talk about low-hanging fruit. So it also starts with him in the waiting room with Tracy Morgan's character who plays his uncle. Who the fuck goes to a job interview with your uncle? So he goes in, and it's the grandson of Randolph and Mortimer Duke. That's how they connect those two universes. In the first Coming to America, he passes by 2 homeless guys, throws them a bunch of money. Those 2 guys are Randolph and Mortimer Duke, the bad guy, I guess you call them, the bad guys from the other movie, Trading Places. So, of course, they're long gone. They were like 100 when the first Coming to America came out. And so their grandson is interviewing Hakeem's son for a job. And, of course, oh, you're white, so you got everything handed to you, and you're looking at me as this black kid with no dad, but I'm different, and I can do the job, and all this shit, right? Racist white people. And when did it become bad that your family hooks you up? Wouldn't that be worse if you came from a rich family and your dad said, nope, you ain't getting shit. You start from the bottom, just like me. Cha-ching. No. But, of course, that's the message they're pushing. Whole bunch of SJW bullshit in this movie. So, of course, his Black family from America, loud, ghetto, no class, uncouth, don't want to take them anywhere. Of course, getting back to that bathing scene. So they're in Africa. Hakeem comes to the door, and there's the 3 girls there who are going to bathe him and clean the royal penis, right? So I'm like, man, how are they going to react and fuck this scene up? So, of course, he goes, hold on 1 second, girls. Mama! Mama! He goes and finds his mom. He goes and finds his mama and says, Mama, these 3 girls are here to bathe me. What do I do? Oh, well, you know, that's how they do it here, son. Just embrace it. It's the prince thing to do. Go enjoy your bath, baby. Okay, Mama. So he goes out of the room, and then some buff dude comes out of the water and says, the royal vagina is clean, your highness. So that's their redo on the royal penis is clean, your highness scene with Leslie Jones getting gone down on. Okay? Not funny and gross. But of course, he can't do anything without his mama. He can't function without his mama. When Hakeem came and told him, come back with me to Zamunda, he said, I'm not coming without my mama. Anyway, so he can't do anything without his mama and them. There was so much SJ shit. Like I said, he has 3 daughters in this movie, and he is completely run by his daughters and his wife. He is Al Bundy. He just sits there with his wallet open. They take his money and slap him upside the head and tell him how uncool he is. What about, no, father, that is wrong. Okay. And there's a scene where when he comes back from Zamunda. So let's see. You fly into New York from Africa. I don't know, 10, 12, 14 hours, something like that. A flight that long, you're going to be gone for a while, maybe a week or so. So he comes back. His wife, I don't even remember why Lisa was mad. He climbs into bed and he's like, well, I've been gone for a while. You think maybe, And she's like, nope. Pulls the covers over and turns her back on him. He's like, just mumbles, sinks down in his bed, mumbles to himself like a punk. Now, mother-in-law, because they watch my videos, I need you guys to turn the sound down for a little bit, okay? When I go like this, it's time to turn the sound back up because I'm about to say some shit I don't want you guys to hear because that grosses me out. Here we go. Look. If I'm married, which I am, I've been gone for a week or so, and I come back home, and something's amiss, and we're not going to engage in marital activities, hey, turn the light on, sit up straight, we got some shit to work out because I need my medication, all right? I've been gone for a week. Our kids are old enough to where his youngest kid was like 9. They're totally self-sufficient. We live in a palace, and they're probably on the other wing. And you think we're going to lay here and go to sleep? Girl, we got some shit to work out. Sit up. The fuck are you talking about? No. He's just, okay. And I think his mama's like, this is some bullshit. Are you kidding me? All right, mother-in-law, you can come back. Man, I was like, you really are a chump. Okay, man. Anyway, so yeah, he's a buster. And the whole movie, it looked like a sitcom set. It looked like those streets in like Everybody Hates Chris or Seinfeld or some shit. You could tell it was a Hollywood lot. It was a movie lot. It looked low budget. It looked sitcom. And it was written as such. Like I said, it was PG-13. You can't take a movie like that and then fit it into this family fun Disney Channel bullshit. That's what they did. And why call it Coming to America when it hardly took place in America? They were in America for what, 15 minutes? And then the rest of it takes place in Zamunda. So why is it Coming to America? That's what made that movie so damn funny, that you're bringing these old world, royalty, kings and queens type people to New York City, to the underbelly, to the taint of America. Remember when he got in the cab and he says, take us to Queens. And then he asks, does Queens have a lot of common parts? And was it Jake? Remember that dude Jake had the workout videos? He was the dude who drove the cab, and he says, if it's one thing Queens has plenty of, it's common parts. So that was the whole point. For them to be thrust into this world that they were unfamiliar with, and all the characters that they would meet along the way, and all their mishaps. Nope, this shit took place in Zamunda. And don't worry about any spoilers or nothing, because you've already seen this movie. You've already seen the corny ass training montage where they're trying to teach Hakeem how to be princely. You've seen it. Every aspect of this movie, you've seen it in another movie. So there's no such thing as spoiler alerts in this. And Hakeem's son, like, there were too many cameos in this movie. Too many. Like, everybody, like Morgan Freeman was there talking at some event. I mean, it was just too many cameos. Like, they couldn't lean on the comedic writing. They had to have all these other famous people in the movie. And then, like, it was just too much. Every time somebody was introduced, it was this dance number. It was this choreographed dance. And Wesley Snipes was one of the only funny characters in this movie. How Wesley Snipes was funnier than Eddie Murphy, I don't know, but it happened. Wesley Snipes was actually funny, but when he was first introduced, they had this. It was almost like a fraternity. They were like stepping and shouting all this shit, but it was too much. It was exhausting. Like, I imagine living in this world at some point when you'd be like, look, man, just come in here and announce yourself. What's all the dancing and the jumping around? It was too much. They were overcompensating for how funny they knew this shit was not. And it was like Africa at Epcot Center. Everything was colorful and gold and red, and it was just fucking stop. I bet there are people from Africa watching this like, man, please. Africa ain't that damn African. It was just over the top. And then I mentioned the training montage. So, of course, it starts out with him like being this fucking bumbling American idiot. And then they finally teach him a little bit, but he just can't grasp it. You know what I mean? Because there's just no street in it. It's too stuffy. So they bring his uncle, Tracy Morgan, from the Bronx, and then he starts, walking like with his cane and, you know what I'm saying, all that bullshit. It was so corny. And what made it extra corny is that this is a sequel. You've already laid the groundwork. Half the work is done. Nope. Blew it. And where was Hakeem's mom? What happened if she was the one who pushed him in the right direction to go after Lisa? Where was she? They didn't say that she died. Like, they didn't have a replacement for her? That shit was whack. She was such an important character, and she wasn't in there. And there was too much CGI. There's a scene where he had to clip the whiskers of a lion. And this ain't no lion that's been sedated so it can be tagged. I'm talking about a loose, free-roaming, adult male lion. He's supposed to cut some whiskers off his face. And how he does it is so stupid. But every damn thing was CGI. And, of course, he decides to do it his way. Oh, it was so bad. He's like, look, man, if you want me to do this Prince thing, I'm going to have to add a little flavor, a little flair and some soul. So dumb and corny and old and rehashed. Like, you expect more from a comedic giant. And there were other stand-up comedians in the movie. You mean you didn't have enough funny on set to make this movie funny? And like I mentioned before, big time feminist message. You know, the woman that Hakeem ends up marrying, she's a hairstylist, and she's cutting his hair. They get to talking, and he's like, oh man, you should do this for a living. You're so, his free American mind. You could start your own business, blah, blah, blah. No, I cannot do that in Zamunda. A woman cannot own a business. Oh, see? The patriarchy, man. the patriarchy keeping these women down, man. You should let them do what they want, man. Down with the patriarchy, man. Stupid. So they can't own a business. Hakeem's daughter, she's like Black Panther's right-hand woman in the movie. She can fight and she's fierce and she don't take no shit. And I can do everything a man can do. But she can't, because the rules, the laws are a woman cannot rule the kingdom. Only a man. Only a cisgender male with his mansplaining. So stupid. And then like the jokes were recycled. A lot of them, they just did them again and worse than they did the first time. I don't know how you can tell a joke worse when the joke's already there and it was already funny, but they did that a lot. And at the end, this is one of the stupidest parts. At the end, toward the end, so Wesley Snipes is an adversary. He's like this warlord who lives in Zamunda and he wants power or some shit. So at the end, while Hakeem is in America trying to patch things up with his son, he leaves Simi behind and his 3 daughters to defend the kingdom. And like I said, the youngest is 9, the second one's probably 13 or 14, and then the oldest one, she's probably like 18 or 19, right? And she's the baddest one. So Wesley Snipes comes in with like 8 of his mercenaries, and she whoops 2 of their asses, and then they get the best of her, and then here come her 2 other sisters, and they start kicking ass and taking names, and then the oldest daughter beats up Wesley Snipes. The oldest daughter beats up Blade. Are you kidding me? Now, of course, this isn't Blade, and this isn't an action movie, but you could have made it more believable than this girl, this barely 18, 19-year-old girl. Wesley Snipes is a warlord. I'm talking machete to your face, warlord. I'm talking Tears of the Sun, warlord. He ain't getting beat by no 19-year-old princess. That's what happened. They came in there. Yeah, girl, we kicked his ass. We kicked him in his balls. So weak. You ain't beating up Blade. Anyway, and the daughter, she was told at the end, of course, to put a nice bow on top. You know, after the dust has settled and they're at this big celebration with 15 dance numbers and everybody's just dressed African to within an inch of their life. It must take these people 2 hours to get dressed every day. It was too much. But of course, Hakeem tells her, I would change the laws. I already told them, when I die, you will rule Zamunda. But father, a woman cannot rule. Forget those rules. I should have changed these rules long ago. I am going to start ruling like the king that I should be, not like my father. All that corny shit. Years and years and years of doing it your way, drilled into your head, but one afternoon your daughter's kicking ass and you're like, oh, I'm going to change it all. So stupid. But at the end, Randy Watson was okay. I mean, you can't duplicate or even come close to when he got up there singing at the, what was it? I can't remember the event at the first one where they had it at the community center and McDowell's was catering the event. Randy Watson. Said, give it up for Reverend Brown. He's my Reverend since I was a little boy. And he kissed him on the cheek and then he wiped his cheek like, what the fuck? But when he sing The Children Are the Future by Whitney Houston, come on, man. You can't touch that scene. So they it felt like even they knew they shouldn't touch that scene. So it was all right. But like much of the rest of the movie, the old movie was way better. And I'm going to watch the original just to kind of wash this one off of me, if that makes any sense. I need to watch the original to balance out the turd that this movie was. Coming to America was garbage. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 0. That shit was trash. And you guys, Oh, Jericho, it's a movie. No. This ain't a movie. This is a sequel to the movie. Coming to America is a national treasure. There should be a copy of that DVD in the Smithsonian. And this is what you give us? This sitcom set trash? That wasn't even funny. I've laughed more making this video talking about the first movie than I laughed watching this movie. Wesley Snipes was the funniest part. His scenes were the only funny scenes. Leslie Jones sucked. I don't know, watch it if you want to. And had I not planned to review that movie, I wouldn't have finished it. Matter of fact, I watched most of it and I was like, man, I'm going to bed. So I had like 20 minutes to finish this morning. That shit was awful. See for yourself. You don't believe old Jericho? See for yourself. That's an hour and 30 minutes you will not get back. But I need to get back in here with my beautiful wife and kids. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.